Hello everyone, this is Max Schroeder Productions here for another movie review on Lincoln. Now, Lincoln was released on November 9th, 2012, and it was produced by DreamWorks, SKG, 20th Century Fox, and later distributed and released by Disney. And the film was directed by Steven Spielberg, one of the well-known famous directors of Hollywood. This film did not do so well its opening weekend. It only made $944,308, and it was number 15 on its opening weekend release. The films that were in the top three of that weekend were Skyfall, the 24th James Bond film, Wreck-It Ralph, and the movie Flight. And this film later domestically made $182,207, where worldwide later on it made $275,293,000. And this film was filmed in Virginia and it later won 40 awards, including 2 Academy Awards, one for Daniel Day-Lewis, who portrays President Abraham Lincoln. He won an award for Best Actor, as well as a Golden Globe for Best Actor. And the film also won an Academy Award for Best Production Design. Now, this film, again, was directed by Steven Spielberg. It starred Daniel Day-Lewis, who, I said it was portraying Abraham Lincoln, Sally Field, who portrays Mrs. Lincoln, and David Strathairn and Tommy Lee Jones, who I can name off the bat, who were cabinet members during the time, portraying some cabinet members during Lincoln's presidency. Now, this film starts off in a battle, at least at the beginning, in the middle of the Civil War, and then later goes to President Lincoln trying to find a way to end this war, make sure this country is no longer divided between North and South, to end slavery, to abolish slavery, and give everyone, and I mean everyone, freedom in this country the way this country is supposed to be. Now, the filming of this whole film, it was very magnificent. Like the lighting is like very dark and sinister, kind of like, maybe it's because I think it gives it like more of a tone of emotion about, like, you know, the stress and feeling that President Lincoln is feeling during this whole time during the war. Like, he feels stressed, very anxious, nervous, and is trying to figure out, how can I end this war with all this, so much is going on during this time. Like, he's trying to end the Civil War, his citizens are, in this bloody battle, he's losing citizens, everyone's dying on our own American soil, and he's just so overwhelmed with so many things going on. And it is very the film is very stressful during times, because, again, it's, President Lincoln and his cabinet members being stressed out about, like, how we got to end this war immediately. This is ridiculous. And it's just that tone of attitude or everything. Cinematography and the camera work is very, very nice. Like, there's so many, like, close-ups, so many, medium shots, wide shots that help give the film some meaning. Like, I mean, I'm not saying all films don't do that, but this one had a unique feel to it. The way it was filmed, the way it was lighted, the way the characters were, it was just all magnificent. Sorry if I get a little too political, but the film kind of sort of relates to sort of the cabinet and how DC is run today with politics, the way our president, the way the whole film is portrayed. It kind of describes our country as kind of like, not really in like a Civil War type aspect, but more how the country is sort of divided. We got people that, even nowadays, just so divided with this and that, different politics, different religions, like fighting and this and that and all that. And it's just, division all around this country, and this film kind of like answers that, like, hey, look at what happened then, and look how it was resolved. Can't we try and do it like this? But the film kind of is like a foreshadow of kind of like how our country is run today. And I mean, not to say our president is kind of like an Abraham Lincoln of today, but to just me personally, he kind of is in a stressful position with everything going on. And we're not like in a civil war right now, but we're kind of like, at each other all the time. And it just really kind of is a great example of American politics of today, as well as today's division. And I mean, it's kind of like a foreshadow, like, hey, look how it was back then during the Civil War time. And it's kind of a like showing us like, hey, this is what's going on, this is ridiculous, we need to do something. So that's kind of how I felt when I was watching the film. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, it kind of feels like today, that kind of feels like how it is now. And then it also goes through like Lincoln's personal life almost. And to me, how he was portrayed is the character of Lincoln, like, he sort of was like a quiet, timid, shy guy, how Lincoln was portrayed. Now, reading on history on Abraham Lincoln, he was a strong, firm, and like great American president. He was a great American idol. And yeah, I mean, we got the Lincoln Memorial, but he really was a strong president at the time. He really knew how to take orders. He really knew how to, help this country out in in this wartime as a wartime president. And it's kind of like how our president is running things today. I mean, he's kind of a little bit shy and timid, but our president now, President Trump, kind of is. It's kind of, as I see the film and relate both presidents, it's kind of similar in sort of a way. I know there's, he's not, President Trump is not President Lincoln by all means, but there is some like little things that I kind of see that relate to him. But as well as like the political aspect of it, it is very, like, it does have, I mean, it's a political movie, but the politics are kind of similar to today, how, division everywhere, this and that, the court, I mean, we just, had the midterm, so it's like the Supreme Court, the House, the White House, it's just how they all, like, are banging heads and, try, like, confrontation upon confrontation. It's just so similar in aspects of how our politics are run today. And the film, as I continue on the film, it was just shot in Virginia, most of it, because I think mainly Lincoln stayed there a lot, and I mean, there was little shots of D.C., but I think mainly those were on sound stages. I couldn't tell. It was hard to tell, but most of it was shot in Virginia. Maybe they had some shots there too, but yeah, the sets and design is very unique and great. It kind of brings you back in that time. Like, that's how everything was run. Like, we didn't have cars, we didn't have this and that, but the sets and everything were brilliant in the film, like from every little thing. And as well as character development, the characters really portrayed how I remember reading about the Civil War in that time and President Lincoln's time. Like, I remember reading in history about how these people were portrayed and how everything was during the Civil War time. Brothers were against each other, families were against each other. It was just so much division. It was ridiculous. But in the end, I mean, we know how it ends. Lincoln, abolishes slavery. Everyone's free. And then later in the film, we get to the point of John... Do I get that right? John Wilkes Booth. I hope so. I'm sorry, history's been... Whew. History's just crazy with me now. But it ends with, a guy coming up to the stage, like, the president has been shot. So towards the end, we get the president Lincoln's death and him on his deathbed, and that's how the film ends. And he says a magnificent speech at the end of the film that kind of ends the film completely as during the death scene. And to me, this film is a very unique film, and it's directed by one of the greatest directors to me personally of Hollywood, Steven Spielberg, who knows a lot about filming and everything. And I mean, his past films, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Jaws, E.T., and so forth and so on, up and other films even before this and after Jurassic Park, he takes a lot of those elements together, and theme is just so important to him. Like the theme of, where was that going? Oh yeah, the theme of like stress and wartime and war, and that's all like Spielberg loves to do, is make war films and sort of like political films, which he kind of delivers a message to everyone, which is very, very, I think, very a great message to everyone that watches his films. Like personally, I love learning about Spielberg's work. I love studying his work. So to me, this was kind of like, okay, I see what kind of elements he took from his other films. So yeah, as I would say, Lincoln, I would say go see this film, because this film is really a magnificent film. I mean, it is very political, I would say that, but I mean, if you ignore the politics, I mean, this is a great, unique film, and it portrays Lincoln very well as how I remember Abraham Lincoln in my history classes way back when in school, and just the way he was portrayed. So I would say go, if you can, at least rent the film or see the film. I mean, I bought it. I mean, it's a good buy. So, I mean, this Lincoln, I would say, is a good film. So, that is my review on Steven Spielberg's film, Lincoln. Now, if you have any comments, tell me what you think about Lincoln, whether you've seen it, positive or negative. What do you think about the films? And just if you have any questions for me about it, about how I watched it, and also any questions you have, please comment down below. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, Max Shorter Productions. And my next movie review will probably be in a couple months due to going back to school and also working part-time. So, yeah, the next movie review will probably be in the summertime, sometime after May, mid-May to later May. So, yeah, that is my review on Lincoln. So, thank you, and see you next time.